Hello everyone, this is a quick video to show you the new features in 1.2.3 of Advanced Themer. So the list is quite huge, so let's dive in and start with the first one. So the first one is added a padding top to the Create Element shortcut panel. So the Create shortcut panel, this one I have already activated in the theme settings, and on the top you see we have now a little padding here, just to avoid clicking. If you want to click a section, avoid clicking the save button, and the opposite is also true. If you want to save, you don't want to click on the section. And many users reported that sometimes there were confusion when it was just too near the save button, so we added padding. Really small addition. But now let's talk about the section. The section has been upgraded in this version, and lots of users requested to make the section to be created on the root of the structure panel. So let's just start and select a container. And before, if we clicked on section, a section would be inserted inside the container as a nested element. Now, if you click on the section, you will see new stuff going on. Let's click on it. You see three things are happening right now. The section is now on the root automatically. It's not nested anymore. You see it contains a container by default, just like Bricks is adding a section. Now the container will be inserted by default. But the cool thing that Bricks doesn't do and AT does is it auto focus on the container. So you can already, I didn't click yet, right? But if I want to nest elements, I don't have to select the container anymore. I just can click on block and it will be automatically inserted inside the container. So super easy. You can go really fast and create, let's create an image, an heading, a text and a button, and we already have a section that you mostly use for content or heroes. So super fast. Another addition, let's make it all collapsed. It's this one. Before, if you, let's just open this one maybe. If you clicked on container and you had all the elements collapsed, if you had a block, for example, since it was collapsed, it was inserted inside it, but you weren't able to see it because it was inside the container that was collapsed. Now, if you add a block, let's say, to the container, it will automatically reveal all the children. So you see where you are adding the new element. And if I click block here and add an heading, for example, you see that the block automatically expand, and you see the heading. So it's all more clear for you where you're adding stuff. Okay, great. Let's delete it for now. I can delete it with this. So we did this one, the autofocus, the expand, moving items in the structure panel. So before there was a conflict because I wasn't aware that Bricks had a cool feature, which is if you use a Mac and use Command, Shift and arrows, you can move inside the structure panel using your keyboard shortcuts. I wasn't aware of this feature, Bricks, and it was conflicting with another shortcut of AT, which is moving around the elements inside the structure panel. So now I just made sure that both works in the same time. You can just browse your structure panel and move it using shifts and arrows, so they are not conflicting anymore. Okay, custom default settings for relevant elements. So this is a community feature, so I'm expecting to get more requests to add new stuff. So if you have any suggestion, please contact me, leave a comment below or comment in the Facebook group, and we'll add more of them. Let's just check what it is first. So let's go in the theme settings. If we go on the builder tweaks and we go in elements, you'll see in the bottom of the tab a new option, default custom settings. And let's just read the 4 ones that we are starting with. So set P as default HTML tag for basic text. This is highly requested. We never really understood why Bricks decided to set a div as default as a default HTML tag. It probably should be a paragraph. This is the most common use for adding a text in a website. So let's just read them all for now. So you can set figure as default HTML tag for images. You can set no caption for images as default, and you can set button as the default HTML tag for buttons. Let's just for now toggle them all so we can check them all. Save settings. And let's go back into Builder. Let's save this for now and refresh. Okay, let's add a basic text, an image, and a button. And let's just activate Tag Manager to see what is going on. So just overviewing the structure panel, you can see that now I just added new elements. I didn't change anything, but the basic text is now paragraph by default, and the image is a figure. Let's just click on the basic text and see what's going on. You can see that the P is now automatically set as default in the HTML tag. Okay, but if you don't need it, you can just remove it and it will become a div again. But let's just keep it as a paragraph for now. And the figure, the image, is now a figure as a HTML tag and as no caption as a default value for the caption type. And if I go to the button, now the default HTML tag for button is a button. Of course, they are optional. You may not need a button as a default value, but if you are using a lot of buttons and want them to be a default, then you have the option. Well, I'm expecting to add a lot more option like this, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys are using the same elements and just keep adding the same default value every time, and you're just losing time. If you have an option that say, hey, every time you create a new element, just adjust the default values, this will spare you a lot of time just redo tasks that you could just have as default. So make sure to contact me if you have another ideas that could improve your workflow. Okay, style overview is not experimental anymore, so you can feel free to use it on your website, and I'm pretty sure you already used it because it's not an invasive feature. But since I never really received any reports and any bugs report on this, I'm assuming that it's working nicely on your website, so now we can consider it not in experimental anymore. Review the CSS generated by Bricks for each element and classes. So this is an improvement from for the style overview. So let's just style a bit our button. Let's just add width of 100%. Let's make it 30%, sorry, an alarm, and let's make max width 20%. Let's see what's going on. Let's just right click on the button, style overview, and this is already known. This is already a feature from an old release, but now you see on the right we have a new tab, bricks and CSS. Bricks is the bricks value that you can eventually change in the tab, in the table. But if you click on CSS, you now see the output from bricks. What actually bricks is printing on your website. So since we are on the ID level, it's using the ID selector, and it's creating the CSS values here. It's interesting because you can now copy to clipboard these values, and for example, let's go in the advanced CSS, and you can decide to paste these values. So you could eventually create custom CSS using the default settings from bricks. It will auto-generate the CSS, and you can just copy paste and change the selector, for example, and apply it on classes from an ID really easily. So if you don't like to create CSS manually and want a system to quickly improve your workflow, this is one. And you can also, let's go back to the style overview. You can also see, let's make an example that I was really curious about. Let's go into a container and add a bit of align settings, and let's see what's going on under the hood. So we have now align self, and for a reason that I didn't understand yet, there is an important tag added from bricks directly on the align self, and the other ones have no important tags. So for example, if you are writing maybe some CSS and trying to applying align self values, and you're wondering why it's not working, because I just set my align self on the ID. Now you can figure out that bricks is adding an important tag. So you probably will have to override it somehow. And this is an information that you can't get from bricks if you don't use a tool like that. So it's pretty clean. It also supports, of course, the classes. So let's add class test 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's create one, and let's again add alignment and open the style overview. And now you see that we have the ID, the CSS output from the ID, but we also have the, oh sorry, misclicked. We also have the styles from the class. And if we go back, let's say we don't want justified center on the ID, we can enable the ID and change to start. Okay, let's make it flex start, so we are just following the normal CSS values. And if I go back to CSS, you'll see that justified content change to flex start. So it's dynamic. If you change any value in the style overview table here and go back to the CSS tab, you'll see it will be automatically updated. Okay, nice addition. I really like this feature. Autoselect the first unlock class when browsing element. So this is really handy. Let's just save right now. And let's go back to class and styles in the builder tricks. You'll see a new value. Autofocus on the first unlocked class. Let's just enable this. Save settings. And let's reload the builder. Okay, if you click on section, you see for example, here we don't have a class, so nothing changed. But as you remember, we just added a class on the container. If I click on the class, you'll see the first class, the first unlocked class, which text 1, 2, 3, 4 is unlocked, is automatically selected on your panel, and you can start styling on the class level, not on the ID level anymore. And if I remove it, change my element, and rebrowse back to the container, boom, the class is already selected. So this, you need to shift your mindset if you are using this. This feature is the default display value is a class now. It's not the ID anymore. And if you want to style the ID, you will have to unselect the class. And if we add another class, let's make 2, 4, 5, 6. Let's add it and let's make it locked. Okay. And let's change just to see if it works. So block and container, and you see the unlocked class is selected. So you probably don't want to select the locked class because you don't want to change any settings in it. You want to be able to change values in the unlocked class. So this, the script does it for you. You can now change values in the class, in the classes that are meant to be changed, and avoid confusion between locked and unlocked class. Okay, this feature is pretty cool. Reveal the class icon on over. This is just UI improvement in the builder for some of you guys that are working on smaller screens. If you go into elements and see a new option, reveal class icons on over. And just save, refresh the builder. And let's go here. You see, we don't see anymore on the class field. We don't see any icons. If you are adding all the options for the classes from AT, there are a bunch of them. So if you are using small devices, it will completely hide your class. Now it's on over, so if you hover here, you will see the option. But if you don't hover on it, you don't see them. And let's create a really long class just for the test. Okay. Now you can see, we see the full class if we don't hover on it. And if we hover, we can see the icons. Some of you requested and found this improvement useful, so we just inserted an option for this. Okay. Increase the builder's input size to easily manage CSS variables and custom CSS functions. So before changing it, let's go back on another. You see we have, let's just take the normal content tab, and you see we have four different sizes for each type of input. We have the big one for the select. We have this custom for alignments, okay. We have smaller one for text, and an even smaller one for flex basis. Okay, if you are going to write a clamp function here, for example, I don't want to make or calc function, no. You will go pretty quickly out of it. So now it's quite a small function, but if you're going to insert really long functions, chances are you are not going to see it really well. So the idea of this improvement is, let's select increase the text control size and save settings. The idea is to increase all the text inputs to make more room for your for your CSS. Okay, let's see what's going on here. All the text inputs have been increased by 50% or something. And now if you are writing variables, let's make animate, you see that I see the variable easier than before. And this is true also for all the other fields. Just field for me, personally, it's more, all the fields, all the text fields have the same size, and it makes easier for my eyes to see them all. I just like this one. Of course, if you don't like it, you can just uncheck the option and it will reverse back to the normal view. Okay, Autoclose CSS variables brackets. So let's go back in the class and style tweaks, and let's just enable Autoclose CSS variables brackets. Save settings, reload. Some of you mentioned that they broke the styles because they just forgot to correctly close the variable function. And if you are using auto suggestion or the variable picker, this is done for you. But if for some reason you want to write a variable that is manually, and you have to close the bracket. Now let's just make a test. Let's just create var and test 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And there is no suggestion in this case. Let's say it's a scoped variable. And you just forgot to close the bracket, and you go on the next field. Just click, but you see the script now just inserted correctly the missing bracket for you. That's just another example. Var test 2, 3, 4, and I'm not going to click. I'm going to blur. So just use the Shift K, the Tab K, to just go on the other one, and you see it corrected my function, my variable automatically. It's just a security measure that if you just forgot to close your bracket, it will create mess on your site, and this script is helping you to close your variables correctly. Okay. GPT-4 is now the default AI model. So now that OpenAI announced that GPT-4 has been made global for any API users, there is no reason to keep GPT 3.5 as default. GPT-4 is now the main model. If we open the AI assistant and open advanced option, you see that the first model selected is GPT-4. You can also select another one, the 32K, and if you want, you can go back to GPT 3.5. I believe there are reasons to go back to 3.5 because it's a lot cheaper than GPT-4, if I remember correctly, and the results are pretty good as well. So if you are looking for really complex content, you want to keep GPT-4 for sure. It's an improved version of the last one. But if you are okay with good content, not looking for uber complex things, then probably GPT 3.5 is a good alternative if you are on budget and want to spend as less as possible. It's still a good option to keep it. Okay. The default structure panel size. So as you know, you can change the structure panel size with AT, but there were no option to set a default size. If you refresh now, it will go back to the default size of bricks. But now, if you go back to the theme settings and we go to structure panel, and just on the bottom, sorry, you have now an option to set your own default width. So see, if you set 600 pixel, for example, settings, and let's just refresh here. You see now that the default size of the structure panel is 600 pixel. You still can change it on a purge basis, but if you refresh the builder, it will come back to the 600 pixel, your default value. So you can set the one that fit more your needs. Okay, CSS property suggestion. So the Superpower CSS has been slightly improved. Let's just go in any elements and go into CSS. Now the suggestions are improved and it automatically completes some tasks. So let's create a test function now. And you see, we didn't have a suggestion here because the script now sees that you are on a class and he won't suggest you variables inside the class. It doesn't make sense. So these suggestions are better in your workflow. So now we want to set to declare a property. So if I click var, I shouldn't see any value because var is for the value of the CSS, not the property. And indeed, there is no suggestion for var. But if you write color, since the script sees that you want to integrate a property, the color is coming from here. And I'm just going to enter color here. And you see automatically it added a colon and a space. You don't have to write it by yourself. And now we are going to add a variable. So if I do var, I will have all my vars, my variables listing. And if I select animate delay, for example, it automatically adds the semicolon. You don't have to worry about it anymore as well. So it makes it super fast to write CSS. Just focus on the keywords that matter to you. So the property and the value. Okay, this is the improvement of the CSS. Oh, another thing that was mentioned in the Discord channel. If we want to add an important tag, you have a suggestion, important. And if you enter the suggestion, before it was printing important with 2 exclamation marks. And that was clearly an error. So now, just like you saw before, if I'm using the suggestion for important tag and click enter, it will add the important tag as expected. Okay, pseudo indicator not working correctly for classes. So if you were on a class and add an over, for example, value here, it wasn't showing correctly. So now I just added an over style for my class, and it's correctly showing the active tag here, and it's showing everywhere here, and another indicator on the breakpoint. So everything should work correctly for the indicators. Missing cosine bracket in some core from framework variable. So this was just an error that has been fixed. The drop down removed. So this I was on the fence for this feature because I decided before to keep the drop down on both modes. No, this is the first mode, the overview one. If you click on the tag, you have now the developer mode. And before, they both have the drop down. If you clicked on the tag, even on the overview mode, you would have seen the drop down and change your values here. But I can see why a real overview mode can be useful, because you can't click on it. Okay, so it won't mess with your. If you want to drag it, if you want to change the label, it won't mess with your container. So this is just mean to see your tags, and if you want to change it, you just go into developer mode, and now if you click on the tag, you will see the drop down again. By the way, there was before an issue and Zeta index issue that was showing transparency on the drop down, and this has been fixed. And now if I change this container to a section, and let's see, it changed to section. And if I want the div back, I will click on the div, and it changed back to a div. Okay, I think it's everything for now. 30 minutes for this quick update. Just a way lot more time. Waste of your time, probably. Okay guys, if you have any question and suggestion, anything, drop a comment below. And if you need any assistance, there is a Facebook group. You can write an email on the support. I will be really happy to answer you if I can. And I'm going on a holiday tomorrow, so I'll be less responsive than usual. But I have to. I worked really a lot in this last month. I just really need to take a little break and relax, so I can come back on August with a lot more energy to keep increasing the feature list of Advanced Themer and improve the whole product. So I wish you guys, if you also go on holidays, or if you're having good time in this summertime, I wish you a good time, and see you soon for the next video of the next release. Bye bye everyone.